Hello darlings, how are you? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well. I thought I would do a sit down video talking about how I healed after my mum's murder, because this is a question that I get daily and weekly, and I finally decided to sit down and answer this question. For those of you that are new to my channel, welcome. And if you don't know, my mum was murdered by my dad in 2020, and as a result of that I became a foster carer for my younger siblings at the age of 20. I'm now 25. The honest truth is, guys, I actually hit rock bottom, like rock bottom, and that is a place I don't ever want to be in life again, and it was scary, but that's what made me heal. In the first year it was lockdown and there was a lot going on, so it was my dad's plea hearing, it was my dad's sentencing. I was also going through an assessment, like a 3-month assessment to look after my siblings, so nothing was certain or finalised. And then there was a court hearing to finalise the care orders. We also moved into a new house, like living a whole new life without parents, and everything was so new, and I was so present with everything because I was basically running off of adrenaline, and I was so focused with what was going on that I didn't really accept that my mum had just been murdered. I also didn't really have the time or the headspace to actually think about what's just happened. The second year is when everything started to come up on the surface, because everything had died down, the court hearings were over, we were settled in our new place and sort of got a bit used to this new life that me and my siblings had. And instead of actually dealing with everything, because it was all new to me, I've never experienced anxiety, I've never experienced depression, I've never experienced panic attacks. All of these emotions were new to me and I didn't know how to deal with them. So instead I started to run away and I started to suppress. So I started going out, I started drinking, I started partying on the weekend, I was in the wrong environments around the wrong people, and every single time, like, I felt a bit of anxiety or panic or like a negative emotion, I would just run away. I would call up a friend, I would maybe go see a friend, I would do anything that it would take to distract myself from feeling that emotion. But towards the end of the second year, I got so sick and tired of suppressing my emotions and nothing worked. Like, even when I was drinking, the emotions would come up on the surface and I would have panic attacks, anxiety, I would spend the whole day in bed and my friends didn't know what to say, like nothing was helping anymore, and I basically hit rock bottom. And I remember it was October 2022, it was the time of Maghrib prayer, and I sat down and I simply just burst into tears, and that was probably like the first time I probably cried for like a very long time. And I just burst into tears and I said to God, I am so sick of feeling like this. I have tried so hard to suppress everything. Also, guys, I just want to let you know that I always prayed 5 times, but I never actually spoke to God. This was my first time actually speaking to God as if I was to speak to a friend or an actual human being. And I basically told him how I'm feeling and how sick and tired I am of this feeling, and I just want it to go away, and I don't want to drink anymore, I don't want to live the life that I'm living, and I just want to be happy. And honestly, guys, the next day my life simply changed. Like, I just felt this feeling of peace that I have never felt before. I was 2 years old at the time, and I've never felt this feeling before. I stopped going out, I cut off all my friends that I used to go out with, I stopped spending time in the wrong environments, and I basically isolated myself, if you would say. But I don't call it isolation, I call it a time of feeling and healing. And in order to do that, I had to cut off all distractions and anything that was making me suppress my emotions. But guys, at the time I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't know I was healing. It was simply that conversation with God that everything started to sort of unfold, if you'd say. I started to spend more time with myself, I started to sit on the prayer mat, like wake up for the hujjat, do my dhikr. I started speaking to God like he was my best friend. I started watching podcasts, I started reading books. Like, for example, I found it so difficult to forgive my dad, so I started searching for books like on how to forgive, how to let go, how to heal from childhood trauma. And I stopped watching TV, I stopped and replaced it with watching podcasts. I stopped scrolling on my phone, deleted social media and replaced it with reading books and reading the Quran. And this brought me so much peace. And one thing about self-help books, guys, it's like you can't just read it and put it down. You need to read the books and understand what they're telling you and start putting everything that the author is telling you into practice, because a lot of these self books are written by psychologists or people with real life experience. And the only way podcast and self-books are going to help you is if you start putting into practice what they're telling you to do. And that's what I simply started doing. I also read a quote at the time that said, in order to heal, you need to feel, and that is so true. The reason we have so much anxiety, depression, sadness, anger is because we haven't felt those emotions. They're actually suppressed. But as soon as we allow ourselves to be able to feel those emotions, that's when we start to let go. And in order to feel, we need to feel safe. And I basically felt safe on the prayer mat, and that's when I would start to really feel my emotions. And it was really painful, guys, I'll be honest. Like, it was so painful. Like, these four walls where I'm sat now have heard me scream and cry and like seen the most ugliest crying face in the world. And it was really, really painful, but I'm so glad that I did it, and Allah guided me to be able to feel, because once you feel your emotions, you don't have to keep revisiting, and you're able to let go. I struggled with sleep a lot, so I started prioritizing my sleep. I started to implement a skincare routine, like incense stick, meditating every night, reading a book before I go to sleep, not going on my phone. And I remember being so grateful that, oh my god, I can finally sleep. I can finally have a good night's sleep after so many years. And guys, one thing I started doing and still do is I meditate. And if you've never meditated before, it is going to feel strange when you first start doing it. But meditating has helped me to gain control over my body, my breathing, and to be able to observe my thoughts. And even now when I get anxiety, I know how to come back to myself. I know how to re-regulate my emotions, and I know how to feel safe again. And I literally owe that to meditating. So if you haven't meditated before, I would highly recommend every single night. And if you don't know how to meditate, there are so many meditation guides on YouTube, and simply just search meditation guides and choose something that feels right to you, and keep practicing. Nothing is going to work within a day or two. Just keep practicing. That's the best advice I could give you with everything that I mentioned today. One thing that really helped me heal was connecting with God on a deeper level. And I truly believe a lot of people experience mental health nowadays is because God's not really spoken about enough. Like, loads of people are relying on manifestation and, you know, spirituality and the universe, which is fine, and I'm not against it. But for me, I feel like God is what healed me, and God is who helped me get me to where I am today. And I simply started speaking to him like he's my best friend. Like, even till this day, I'll sit on the prayer mat and I'll say to him, like, I wish I could just give you a hug with how much you have done for me, because everything I've asked him to do, he's done it. Like, he's probably not answered for what I've asked for all the time, but he's given me something better instead, and for that I am so grateful. And one of God's name is the healer, Al-Shafi, and I promise if you'd ask him to heal you, you will get that, because that's who he is. And one thing I've realised about God, he has 99 names, and all of them names reflect who he is, and it is so true. I also started being mindful with who I'm spending time with. I started to focus on how people are making me feel, how I feel around people, because a lot of that has to do with who we are. And when I was in a bad place, I was around people who had damaged themselves, who had mummy issues, daddy issues, childhood trauma, and no one was in a position to even like give me advice or help me. And I realised that we all trauma bonded, and now I'm really mindful about who I'm around, because I don't want to trauma bond with anybody. I want people who uplift me, who make me feel good, who are healed or they're healing, and who just live life and see the beauty of it. I also started prioritizing a healthy diet, because I watched a podcast on the Diary of CEO with a gut doctor, and he basically said our gut is connected to our brain, and a lot of depression, anxiety and negative emotions have a lot to do with our gut health. So when you grow up in traumatic environments, or you've been through something so traumatic, we tend to comfort eat, and we tend to suppress our emotions, or eat something just to make us temporarily feel good. But in the long run, we're actually damaging our gut health. And when we do that, our gut is basically saying to our brain, I don't feel good, I'm so unhappy, I'm so angry, this person doesn't love me. And our brain starts to reflect those emotions in our daily lives. But as soon as we start to take care of our gut and we eat foods that are good for us, we're prioritizing a good sleep routine, prioritizing movement, prioritizing healthy whole foods, our gut starts telling our brain, I'm so happy, I'm so loved, I feel so so safe with this person because they're looking after me, and our brain starts to reflect those emotions in our daily life. And I've noticed a massive difference ever since I've been eating and sleeping and, you know, moving my body. I feel so much happier and so much healthier. And guys, everything that I just mentioned takes time. It takes days, months, years, and you just need to be patient with yourself. This is not an overnight fix. This is something that takes time, and it's a new lifestyle, and you start to implement things slowly. I didn't do any of this overnight, and I didn't do it all in one go. It took me 3 years to get to where I am today. And there will be days, especially at the start, where you will go back to probably what people call square one, but I just call it just falling down and picking yourself back up, because our old life is so comfortable, and those are the things, the lifestyle, the routines, the people that gave us so much comfort at one point. But we need to be strong and brave enough, knowing that we deserve better, and we deserve to heal, and we deserve to live, and we deserve to be happy. And you just need to keep picking yourself back up and be patient with yourself, be gentle with yourself. Like, that's something I wish I could go back and do, because I was really harsh with myself, thinking, oh my god, like, now I've eaten, like, now I've had a bad week or a bad month of eating unhealthy, I'm back to square one, or I haven't been to the gym, or do you know, just things like that. And I wish I was just a bit more gentle with myself, which I am now, but obviously I had to learn to be able to do that. One of the most important things I stopped doing was I stopped listening to people. Especially being Pakistani and losing my mum and my dad, a lot of people, relatives and the Asian community felt like, and because I was fostering my siblings, a lot of people thought that they could give me advice just because they're older and they've got a lot more life experience than me. And that just gave me so much more anxiety. They had such unhealthy expectations of me, and I realised that the advice that they're giving me is not helping me. If anything, it's making me self-destruct more. And one thing I dislike about our culture is that it teaches us to respect our elders, which is fine. We should always respect our elders, but respect has turned into we should listen to them, take their advice and do what they're telling us to do. But this is our life, not theirs, and I believe that we should always be able to choose what we want to do and what feels right to us, and be who we want to be. So I simply stopped taking advice from people that I don't want to be like, and I started to distance myself from them because they weren't good for me, and they simply just didn't make me feel good. And always remember, guys, please stop taking advice from people you don't want to be like, and people whose lives you don't want to live. We are all human, and we all have different experiences, and no one has the right to sit here and say you should live your life like this. Even Allah has said in the Quran, I have made mankind to be free, meaning that we have the choice to choose whatever it is that we want to choose, whether that's right or wrong. If it's right, great. If it's wrong, it's always going to teach us and help us to do better. And I feel like in our culture, respecting your elders has been taken out of context, and all of a sudden it's gone from respecting is just like a sugar-coated version of to listen to them and to let them control you, and that is something I don't believe in, and that is something I will always stay away from. Now, 3 years later, I do everything I've mentioned in this video. I still have a really good connection with God, and it's building. It's obviously, like, I'm not a perfect Muslim, but my connection with God is very strong, and that is something personal to me. I prioritise my sleep, I eat healthy, I go to the gym, I still read books, but I've started to scroll on my phone now. I still watch podcasts, but I watch TV too. I've started to live again. I still do everything that I've just mentioned, but because I'm more healed, I'm more happier, and more at peace, and finally I would say I've become the woman of my dreams and the version I've always wanted to be. None of this feels like healing anymore, but it feels like a lifestyle, and I'm very, very grateful for that, because it's very healthy for me. And I still do eat like the wrong things, I still do love a good party, but everything's just more balanced now, and I'm actually not running away from anything. I'm actually just living and enjoying the experience life has to offer. I also want to say to anyone out there, I promise you, there is nothing in this world that you cannot get through, even if it feels like you can't. Nothing happens to us, everything happens for us. It's there to help us grow, to learn, to build, and to become better people. I feel like I am such a better person after my mum was murdered than I was before. Obviously I was young, so I need to show myself a bit of grace, but I feel like I'm so much more loving, I'm so kind, I'm so like generous, I'm so like full of gratitude. I appreciate people, I appreciate life, and I give so much to it, and in return I get so much back. And I don't think I would have been able to experience this feeling and this life now if I didn't go through what I went through. And I promise you, there is nothing you can't get through. You just need to be brave enough to believe it and know that you deserve better. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I actually feel like a bit emotional talking about this because it took me back to when I first started healing, but I feel so grateful that the past version of me was so brave enough to even take the smallest step to get me to where I am today. But I hope this helped to anyone that needed to hear this, and I hope you were able to take something away from this, and I wish you all the best and luck in your healing journey. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and inshallah I will see you in my next video.